Welcome back. It's race week, the Grandstand, season 5, episode 22. Puxan here in Paris, and we got Knowles on the East Coast. Is that right?
That's right. Well, we'll be in the same city next week.
Ooh, someone's coming over to Europe.
Someone's coming to Europe.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So it's race week. We're going back to Hungary, then Spa, and then summer break, right?
Which is weird. We usually have Spa after the summer break, but this go around, not so much.
Spa is usually the return of Formula One. But anyway, it's someone else's return this week, Danny Rick. And I think that's the only thing that matters, really, because this season is over. But we got Danny Rick coming back. And
someone's on suicide watch.
No.
Well, between Ferrari and Max winning everything, it's been a rough season for you.
Yeah, good thing I wasn't like a hardcore DeVries fan, because that would just be the end of it there.
Oh man, could you imagine? Was anybody a hardcore Nick DeVries fan?
Probably.
I mean, he got no love from the Orange Army, which is ridiculous too. Let's just remind ourselves he's Dutch.
He might have gotten some residual love, but hey, definitely no love from the Red Bull family. But DR3 is back. Let's roll that intro and get into Hungary.
Roll it.
A question for all of you except Romain Grosjean.
To whom it may concern, fuck you.
More ladies in the paddock? Yeah, more paddock access to some women. There's too many dudes.
I don't really have a lot to comment on that, except that he was being a pussy.
So, tell me about Romain Grosjean this weekend.
Romain Grosjean is going to lose his seat in IndyCar.
'Tis the season. It seems like.
Yeah, it's silly. It's silly season in Formula One. It's silly season in IndyCar. And obviously IndyCar has brought in quite a few former Formula One drivers: Marcus Ericsson, Romain Grosjean. Who else has been in series? We've got Sato, who's only running ovals and super speedways, and Grosjean. He has not finished in 7 of the 9 races this season.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Damn. Compared to DeVries, that is appalling. Actually, I feel like.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good at all. He's had some serious gromos this weekend. You want to hear this weekend's gromo? He lost the steering wheel going into a turn and didn't turn, so he went straight into the wall.
What do you mean he lost it?
Like he hit it, physically came out of his hands.
No way. Did he hit a button?
No. Ericsson hit him.
Well, all right.
I'm kidding. Ericsson was nowhere near him. Marcus Ericsson was nowhere in the vicinity. Yeah, if Ericsson actually did hit him this time. No, Marcus Ericsson was nowhere near him. He claims that, and not only did he lose the steering wheel, he said on his radio he lost the steering wheel again.
Wow.
So this means just IndyCar it has no power steering, so those cars are definitely difficult to handle, whereas Formula One cars do have power steering. Mm-hmm. That being said, no excuse.
So are you saying it was his fault the steering wheel came off?
That's what it sounds like.
Wow, twice.
Yeah, it didn't come off. Like he lost a handle on it.
So basically he didn't hit the gym enough. Sounds like that.
Whatever it is, dude. I don't know, but he lost the steering wheel.
Doesn't sound good. Holy shit. Man, last week we forgot to mention one of the big things going on in Silverstone was that Brad Pitt and his production company were out filming for the first time for their Formula One movie. that they're going to be filming at 6 different events this year. They had 11th fictional team out there, Apex GP, and they were, I don't know if you saw on the live feed, but they were even on the national anthem next to the drivers to try to get that authentic feel for it. So
I know that was crazy for me, like to see him on the actual grid with the car. I'm pretty sure they did the warm-up lap with them too.
Yeah, so one of the cars that was set up on the formation lap, but it didn't go. It didn't start. It went straight into the pits because like
Right.
F1 didn't want to have any issue. So you know that Hamilton is a producer on this, and apparently they're using like an F2 chassis. So it's like if you're a big nerd about F1 and aerodynamics, you'll see that it's a shorter car and lower car. And Mercedes helped them to kind of put a bodywork around it to make it look like an F1 car in the new regs. Looks pretty nice.
It does. I mean, it kind of looks like that. Speaking of Grosjean, looks like that Haas rich energy car where Haas has really had some rough goes of it with their title sponsor in the last few years. But yeah, it looks kind of like that car. But yeah, if you just take a quick glance at it, it's hard to I mean, the back wing looks pretty similar to what we've got on the Formula One cars. The front wing is almost identical. It's definitely shorter. You definitely notice that, but I think it feels crazy immersive what they're doing with this film. And Stefano Domenicali came out this week and he's like, this is going to be probably bigger than Drive to Survive.
And I don't doubt that because now people know about F1. So they'll be lining up out the door to catch this film, I think. And it's the producers, I think, from the Mission Impossible movies, is it? And anyway, they've got these crazy cameras all rigged all over the car. They say we've never seen, representation of G-force to this level. So, hey, that sounds cool.
How does that? I don't even know how that would be a representation of G-force.
That's how they said it, yeah. But they probably mean just speed, like the way because the onboard cameras are very stabilized, and I feel like that's how also that's one of the arguments I think of the new, like the last 20 years, is that it's too stable for us to understand the bumps. Remember, like Senna's lap in Monaco, it's nuts because it's like the cameras all over the place. Mm-hmm. Maybe they'll have cameras that are bit lower, I don't know. So they're doing their magic with the cameras. They have a lot of them all over. And yeah, also F1 was testing a new camera on the safety car last race weekend on the rear wing. Apparently next year we might have that angle to choose from.
Rear
on
wing
F1 TV. Mm-hmm.
Be a crazy a rear wing 360-degree camera. That would be wild. I'm sure engineers would hate that.
And next year, they might be a 360 over the driver's head because some of the cars have it. And next year, the whole camera system, I heard, is being renewed and we're going to have some crazy ass cameras. So yeah, F1 heading in a new direction.
Dude, I mean, I love it. I'm here for it.
Let's do it. Although I'm not sure about the whole plot of the movie because apparently Brad Pitt's like in his 60s and he comes back to help the youngin kind of get back to winning ways. Or
so he's Fernando Alonso, except not like the exact opposite.
Yeah, it's pretty much the plot of the latest Top Gun. Sorry, not Mission Impossible. When I said it was producers of Top Gun, except that instead of being an old pilot, it's going to be an old racing driver coming back. So yeah, Hollywood, take a formula that works and do it all over.
All right, so it's Fernando Alonso's story, but kind of reverse, where Fernando's not really helping, but pretending to help his teammate, and instead is just blowing him out of the water.
Exactly. Oh man, but yeah, looking forward to that. Did you catch the Goodwood Festival last weekend?
I don't really understand Goodwood.
It's just an excuse for Brits to show off beautiful cars.
I don't really get it. Like, it's not a festival of speed because you're not going that fast. It's not like you're racing. I mean, I guess there are time trials, but it's one of those things that for me it would be very cool to go to in person, but watching it on a computer screen or TV screen, just I don't know, not for me. I will say it was cool to see Seb in Nigel Mansell's car, and also Mick driving his dad's Mercedes. That was cool.
Emotional. Yeah. A few donuts. Seb was there. I think Seb owns that car. He owns that car, and he was also racing another McLaren,
Yeah.
both with sustainable fuel. So that's cool. Seb launched his campaign. It's called
Race without trace. It's not even without
it's
just
without
race
trace.
without trace.
Okay, yeah. All right, that sounds better actually. Cool to see Seb back, man.
Yeah, he was at Silverstone with DR3 during his time trial, or his
Yeah.
tire test, I should say.
That's when Helmut decided to give Nick the boot. Actually, it was during that exact test. It was a tire test, and apparently Danny Rick got up to speed, and Helmut was like, "All right, fuck it, we're kicking out this kid here after 10 races. See you later."
You think Seb had anything to do with it?
No, I think Seb.
No.
Seb came
Seb's
out
not that
and-
kind of guy.
Yeah, he even said it was kind of rough, but also like, hey, that's life, I guess. But man, talk about the storyline of the weekend here. I mean, just seeing Danny Rick going back to Faenza to AlphaTauri now, because he never raced with the team under that name. That a huge welcome back to the Honey Badger sign. And we saw him in his overalls, did the photos, team photos, and whatnot. It's cool, man. I'm actually super stoked for him.
I thought the like honey pots all over the place, like the emoji honey pots were a little like
over the top.
Might as well just have like balloons and a birthday cake and be like, welcome back. It was just, but it was cool. He started speaking a little Italian. I mean, listen, if I read an interesting take on him going back there, and ultimately the only way he's really going to be able to prove that he's still got it is to be back in a car and not in a sim, right? So you've got to take that risk, and I think like going into this weekend, the most exciting part of this race weekend is to see how Danny Rick performs.
Yeah, I'm going to be watching him every session to see how he fares against Yuki, and qualifying is going to be very interesting for me. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Because he's only been out for 6 months. It's not that bad. I think physically he did 100 laps at Silverstone last week.
Yep.
So I think, I mean, if people are comparing him to Alonso when Alonso left F1, but Alonso left for over 2 years. So I don't know if that's the same. Yeah,
it's not the same. I don't think it's quite the same. Christian said that the laps that he was putting in Silverstone would have put him on the front row during the race, which that's crazy.
I heard that. I'll put a caveat there too, because people are going nuts over that. But remember that track conditions from one day to the next can be like 2-3 seconds also. So
Okay,
I don't know how much that means really. But
it's interesting that it's interesting that Christian would come out and say that in the wake of what happened with Checo. That's all.
Yeah, I agree. All right, that's where I was going to go with that. I think Christian is saying, "Oh, we're also putting our arm around Checo to give him the support, but also Checo, watch your back."
Yeah, how Red Bull of him.
God, Red Bull's the worst. But also, thank you for bringing back Danny Rick.
Yeah, we support our drivers, but we don't really, unless their name is Max.
How do we think he'll fare? What do you think this weekend? You think he's got it?
Dude, that's such a hard thing to say. I don't know. Here's I'm going to try to not make this a long-winded response, but there was chatter. There a lot of the problem with this AlphaTauri car is similar to the problems that he was having at McLaren, where it doesn't have good cornering speed and exit speed through the corners. And I just wonder if this car is going to give him the same problems that he had at McLaren, right? So that being said, however, maybe because he did have that experience, it will give him some confidence to go in, and he's probably been on the sim, right? With this AlphaTauri, you'd have to think, right? So I'm gonna put a vote of confidence in for the boy, Danny Rick. I'm gonna say he outperforms Yuki this weekend.
Wow. Okay. I think that I'd love to see that. I don't think that it'll happen right away because I think Yuki's raised the game a bit and he knows his car. 10 weekends with it. I think if you can get within a few tenths of Yuki, like maybe 2 tenths in qualifying, that'd be great already. And then in the race, I want to see him outrace Yuki. But at the end of the day, for me, it's going to be in Abu Dhabi. By the time we get to Abu Dhabi and we count the head-to-head with Yuki and how the races went, that's when we'll see if he's credible for that Red Bull seat. Because I think this is make or break for Danny Rick. If it doesn't go well, his F1 career is pretty much done. I think.
You mean in the next 6 months?
Yeah, like the next 12 races till the end of the year, it's make or break.
Damn.
I mean, if you look at it, he's accepting to come back to the lower team, the junior team. And they've had those conversations with Christian. I mean, when we watch Drive to Survive before the start of next year, we'll probably get to see a few of those conversations where Christian tells him, hey, listen, if you perform, you get the seat. But who knows? What if Yuki performs and Yuki gets the seat? That's also a possibility that no one's really talking about.
Well, the word is that he's actually looking to take over for Checo in 2025.
Yeah,
not next year.
That's the official Red Bull word.
Right, but
until
Red Bull never, until Red Bull, that's what they do.
Yeah, until Helmut gets mad at Checo at the Christmas party and fires him with a Christmas hat on.
He goes full Monaco and just gets obliterated at the Red Bull Christmas party. And Helmut says, "You keep it together, one drink only tonight."
He throws Checo in the pool. Oh man. Well, that's going to be exciting. I'll tell you what, Max Verstappen is going for a few records this weekend, going for a 7th win in a row, which that is not a record, but if Red Bull win this weekend, it would officially be the longest winning streak in the history of Formula One with 12 wins. They're currently tied with McLaren that had this record from that incredible 1988 season. So let's be real. Max is most likely going to win. You think this is phase Checo? Because all the questions are going to be about that. Can Checo come back and actually make it to Q3, have a normal race, and bring it on the podium? Oh, God.
I don't know.
Oh, my God.
I don't know.
The fact that we're saying that is not a good sign.
I mean, listen, Checo's he doesn't have a choice at this point.
Yeah.
I think we're going into summer break. We've got 2 more races before a pretty short summer break compared to seasons past.
Right.
And he's got to get a podium. I mean, he doesn't have to outperform Max because we know that's highly unlikely. Max has shown, he's convinced me this season. He's the best driver on the grid. I never ever thought I would say that. We both know that, but
I never thought I'd hear you say it. But
yeah,
at least,
I know.
At least I know you're reasonable.
I'm willing I'm willing to come around, and I think that Checo has to put it on the podium this weekend. He has to have one of those like very quiet weekends where it's just he performs, he gets the job done, the team's happy with his performance, and he goes on to the next race weekend. No incidents whatsoever. He
goes into the summer break not feeling Danny Rick breathing down his neck. Yeah.
Well, here's some. It's looking like there could be a chance of rain on Saturday.
Oh yeah,
Friday and Saturday at the Hungarian ring.
Oh my God, that's qualifying. If that happens on Saturday, that's qualifying. That's what's been catching him out the last few races, which by the way, he's on a streak of 5 consecutive races or 4, not reaching Q3. So
it's bad.
Yeah. Alex Albon has made it to Q3 the same amount of times as Checo this year. So that needs to be.
That says more about Albon than it says about Checo personally, but I don't know. That's up for debate.
It's equally. It's like in both directions. It says how good one driver is doing and how much the other is dropping the ball. But hey, honestly, if Checo could put it on pole, which I highly doubt it, but even if he gets outraced by Max, he just needs to be up there, make it a Q3, bring it back. But I think what everyone's really interested in is what's happening behind Max and behind Red Bull
Yep.
for that P2 in the Constructors Championship, because here's a fun stat / fact. The last 4 races, it's been 4 different teams that were closest to Red Bull. So in no order, it was McLaren, Ferrari, Aston, and Mercedes. So who's coming out ahead in that pack this weekend?
Man, you're throwing a lot of hypotheticals at me this episode.
It's a tough one, right? Because I mean, I know what you're gonna say. Ferrari's gonna fuck it up because we're going back to the track where last year they put the wrong tires on Charles, and
yeah. I mean, Ferrari just absolutely blows my. It shouldn't shock me anymore, really. But wow.
All right, before we go down the
Yeah,
Ferrari
all right,
line,
fine. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole.
all right, I'll give you the facts though. Last race, super fast track,
Yep.
McLaren back, really good on high speed corners. Lando's saying that they're going to be terrible in the low speed, which I don't know if they'll be terrible, but they won't be as close to Red Bull. Aston Martin and Ferrari are both really good in slow corners. Remember, everyone was hyping Alonso for the win in Monaco.
Yep.
And then Mercedes, actually, I don't really know where Mercedes is at the moment. To be really honest with you, with the upgrade, they look good, and then they look like they went backwards. But yeah, I'm not really sure. I think Aston Martin and Ferrari are going to be up there. That's my take for it.
I think we're going to see a more resurgent Aston Martin.
And then again, we're only talking about Alonso and not Stroll, right?
Yeah.
Just to make that clear.
Yeah, to be, I mean, like we've said in previous episodes, if Lance's last name wasn't Stroll, he might not have a seat right now. But damn, I think, you know what? I've kind of stuck to this tune, so I'm going to stick to it for this episode. Mercedes got lucky with strategy last race, as far as Lewis finishing on the podium and also safety cars. So I think we're going to see a little bit more of a resurgent Mercedes just being smart about their weekend. I think they need an incident-free weekend as well. You know, speaking of teams that need a result, it's getting tight up there for the P2. I mean, it's in my opinion anyone's game between. We'll see. Between Aston Martin and Mercedes, neither team has convinced me that they're deserving of that position, if you ask me.
Yeah. And
Right?
honestly, Ferrari, all jokes aside, they have a really quick car. And if operationally they make it happen, yeah, we've got a 3-way battle for that P2.
Right. But as far as a race day is concerned, I'm going to go out on a limb, though. I'm going to say McLaren has another good weekend.
Okay. So you think McLaren can be P2 in terms of pace for
I think they could be.
constructors? Ooh.
I think so. A pace, yes.
So that would mean that if McLaren's up there, that means their upgrades are no joke. It wasn't a track specific.
Yeah, I mean, they seem pretty confident. And some of the comments coming out of the McLaren camp this week say that basically we're not done yet. If we're seeing that these upgrades are actually having an effect back at the MTC, bigger than we expected them to have. So
Yeah.
but you know, when
Interesting.
teams start tooting their own horn like that, I'm also a bit skeptical. I personally, just as a fan, would love to see McLaren have another great weekend.
Yeah, for sure. I haven't heard McLaren toot their horn for this race. I heard them say that they're going to struggle, but they are saying that the upgrades work for Silverstone, but they said it won't work on slower tracks. But I think Alonso is quietly optimistic. Yeah, I could see Aston, and the eternal optimist in me thinks that Ferrari might pull it off. Maybe one day.
I mean, we'll see. Funny quote. I'm reading as we're talking here. Andreas Stella came out this morning and said that other teams claiming that side pods don't make a difference to car performance are like Pinocchio not telling the truth. I don't know, like, so they're all lying?
Yeah, I guess. Well,
or they're just like trying to hide the fact that they all know that the side pods do make a difference. I don't know. Weird.
yeah, we'll see. Well, I think we'll see about the side pods next year when Merc actually designs their entire car around the same direction as Red Bull.
Okay.
I'll tell you who needs a good weekend. I would say Alpine after that double DNF last race. They'd be pretty inspired to get some points on the board because McLaren's just passed them, so it's gonna be tough to the end of the year. And this was the track that Alpine got their first win since they rebranded to Alpine in 2021.
Ocon got his first Formula One win. Alpine, yeah. If we're talking about the battle for P2 just on pure race pace, this coming weekend, Alpine is not in that conversation right now.
No, unless there's some crazy circumstances, but on pace, I don't see it either.
No, Gasly got screwed last race.
You mean he got strolled?
Yeah, another S word. It's kind of synonymous, right?
Yeah.
He got Lance strolled, Rick rolled, Lance strolled.
Nice.
And that's the other thing too is Gasly's performing pretty well in that Alpine for his first season there, right? Would you agree?
Yeah, I think he could have bagged in more points. If you look at the championship between him and Ocon, there's 15 points difference, right? And in Monaco, Ocon got that podium, 15 points, right? And that's a race where he got screwed by strategy there. There's a couple races he didn't score points. So I feel like if you take out those 15 points, that podium, they're pretty evenly matched. So for me, obviously you want to be on that side of the garage that has that podium, but I think I keep saying this, good points are coming his way, depending on the track. I don't know if they'll be coming this weekend, but I don't think that he's driving poorly. I think he's actually doing pretty well and he's getting to grips with the car, but the car unfortunately is not developing as fast as the top teams are.
No, and I mean it's interesting because he's in 12th position in the driver's standing to Esteban's being in 10th place with 31 points. Pierre's got 16. I genuinely don't think that Esteban's been driving that much better than he's been driving. I think he's just had a bad run of luck. I also think the Alpine is probably, if we're talking about the midfield teams, probably one of the most inconsistent cars out there, if not the most.
Yeah. They need similar to Checo, they need a weekend where they put in the work, no penalties. Because remember, Gasly put in P4 qualifying in Barcelona, and he got those 2 penalties, which changes your whole entire race. So yeah, hoping for a good weekend from him. And then honestly, for the rest of the teams, I don't really know. Alfa Romeo, I'm not really expecting much, but I will be monitoring AlphaTauri to see what our boy Danny Rick does. And Haas, you just never know with Haas. Let's see if they can actually keep up in the race.
Yeah, on Haas though, dude, like
you got something?
Well, no, just think about how many engine failures that they've had this season.
I'm not too happy about that.
Speaking of Ferrari.
Yeah, I know. Because Haas is a Ferrari customer, and they just blew up 2 engines in the last race. You're only allowed a certain amount of engines per year before you start getting those penalties. So hopefully they were testing out some new parts for Ferrari.
Gunter looked like he wanted to walk down to the Ferrari tent after last race and be like, what the fuck, guys?
I mean, I would.
Hey, maybe they should start making their own engines at Haas.
Ooh.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
I don't know. If they could figure out their tires, that already be a good thing.
Yeah, let's start with something a little bit more simple.
So yeah, you said there might be some rain. It's also, if it's not raining, it's gonna be fucking hot in Hungary. So those Pirellis could be cooking. So we're gonna hear a lot about tire degradation this weekend. And Lewis on the radio probably saying his rears are gone. So yeah, beware of that. What else are we looking forward to this weekend? Is that did we cover everyone?
I'm looking. I honestly, DR3 is a story, right?
Right.
I think that's what everybody's looking to see.
He does well at this track. Also, he loves this track. So
yeah, he does.
He won here.
I think that's the story. Max is on a roll. I think. I don't know. This track doesn't, as far as drama is concerned, we don't see all that much.
Yeah,
We
it's
see a lot
not-
of good racing. I will
it's
say
not-
that.
Yeah, it's like, so this track is, people call it the Monaco without the walls. Very twisty, slow corners, not a lot of runoff, and it's a track where you need the rhythm. And a lot of drivers that grew up karting talk about it as a karting track. It's like a kart track with F1 cars on it. So Lewis does really well here. Usually, everyone who went through karting, which is most of the drivers, really appreciate that for the rhythm part of it.
Mm-hmm.
So don't expect a lot of overtaking, probably into T1 with that DRS and maybe T2 outside. I remember DR3 pulled it off. Qualifying is going to be very important. Checo.
Wow, dude, you had to get that one in, huh?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I do like Checo, but now
I do too, man.
this DR3 possibility is getting me excited, and maybe I'm not being that what they call.
Well, I've got a question that I'm not going to bring up in this episode, but I think it's something that needs to be discussed at some point during the summer break.
Okay, a little teaser, or should we leave it at that?
I'll tease this: is if Checo is out at Red Bull, is that the end of his F1 career? And I don't want to talk about. I just throwing it out there.
Ooh, I've got thoughts. All right, we'll save that for summer break.
Yep.
Great question. But moving on for now, I think it's time for our stand championship. Last race, I made up a little bit of made up some points. So I'm at 136 to your 160. Still got a healthy lead there, and it is my turn to go first.
Yep.
It's inevitable. Max is on such a form, I can't go against him. Gets pole, gets the win. Leclerc for me will finish P2 with Checo on the podium.
Wow.
He'll have a good race. I will put Hamilton in P4 and Alonso in P5. The Gromo this weekend will go to Sargent. I couldn't think of anyone. Haas. Actually, I didn't have like a clear Gromo, so I'm just going for a rookie. Sorry.
Well, what's interesting about this track is that last year, George Russell put it on pole.
Mm-hmm.
Carlos Sainz P2, Charles P3. Max started P10 and still won the race.
Yeah, remember that's the race he spun also? Remember that?
Yep.
Still won.
Still won. I'm going to go Max on pole.
Okay, no risks this weekend.
No, I don't. I think I'm going to go Max P1. I think Lewis has a good race. I think Lewis is going to finish on the podium P2.
Ooh.
Checo P3. George P4. And the smooth operator at P5. Carlos Sainz.
Okay.
I think, and also something I didn't bring up is I think Carlos is getting the short end of the stick at Ferrari, but we can talk about that next week after we see what happens this weekend.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
Gromo, I'm going to go with Yuki.
Ooh, the pressure.
Yeah, I think the pressure from having DR3 there might shake him a little bit.
You think DR3 is going to play some tricks on Yuki, saying like, "Okay, find a new trainer, my boy's back."
Yeah, be gone, bro. He's my friend. Some straight playground shit.
They start bullying him, and
Italiano's like, "I never liked you anyway."
Oh man.
But well, I'm going Yuki.
Poor Yuki. Okay. All right, solid. All right, we have some similarities, but it could be a good haul points for one of us. Let's see if it goes our way. I noticed that no Aston Martin for you in the top 5,
or a McLaren.
Yeah. Ooh, that might be a mistake from both of us, but we shall see. We shall see. There's also talk. I just wanted to bring up that they're talking about this big 2026 rules overhaul, and Domenicali, who's been coming out a lot in the press as a chatterbox, he's saying that they're discussing the possibility of more sustainable engines, which has always been the goal, but also louder engines. For all of you out there that were unimpressed by the sound of F1 cars, which I know you were last year in Monza, Knowles.
Yeah, I'm not a particular fan of this engine, this way this engine sounds.
Yeah, the engines need to be loud enough that if you don't wear any protection in your ears, like any audio protection, that you actually can't hear for the next few days. That's how I remember my first F1 experience with the V10s.
Your ears need to low key be bleeding. Is what he was saying.
Yeah, in a good way.
I am very curious to see how you get you maintain a sustainable fuel program, but have louder engines. So,
Yeah.
but I'm not an engineer, so I'm not going to try to answer that question.
Just hopefully they don't do it with like speakers, because that was an idea at some point. Yeah. Let's
Just
scratch that one.
amplified through speakers on the car. Good
Sponsored by Bose. Yeah, no.
Yeah, actually, Haas would only be able to afford like JBLs or something.
Oh my God, saturating engine sounds. Wow. Okay, watch Haas have a great weekend, and
They've been making it into Q3, so we'll see.
Yeah, and then they go back in the race. But as always, changing conditions could happen. It's hot. Maybe those new Pirelli constructions might not take the heat as well for certain cars. So we'll see. But in any case, we're going back racing. Danny Rick is back. Make sure to follow us on social media at the Grandstand F1 and give us a review anywhere you listen to podcasts. And we'll be back next week with the Hungary debrief.